Today's episode is brought to you by Patreon. If you're interested in supporting the show, go to patreon.com/JoshuaVelas and become a $2 backer today and get early access to the new episodes. I'll be leaving a link in the description down below, but for now, on to today's episode. You're listening to the Augmented Experience podcast. I'm your host, as usual, Joshua Velas. I'm a student, musician, and a gamer at heart. Join me as I sit down every week to talk about all the latest news in the technology, business, and video game world. I hope you guys enjoy. Alright everybody, welcome back to the show. My name is Joshua Velas. I am your host as usual, and obviously welcome back to the show. Today's episode 258 of the show, and before we get started, we're just going to do a little bit of housekeeping real quick, because, well, let's just get the elephant out of the room. We haven't done this in, over a month? I think the last time an episode went live was May 3rd, if I'm correct. So it's definitely been a while since we've done this. And we're going to talk about that here a little bit later. But I do want to say thank you guys for coming back and listening to today's episode. It does mean a lot to me. You guys constantly take time in your days to download these episodes, to share these episodes, to constantly keep letting me know how you feel, whether you like my stupid face or not, which you guys probably have missed me somewhat, or you're probably happy that I was gone. And if that's the case, well, too bad. But at the end of the day, I'm greatly appreciative of the support that you guys have shown for the show in my absence. And at the same time, hey, you're actually back and listening again. So again, I really do appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. And it's definitely been a while since we've done this, so let's see if we still got it. But I think it's appropriate that we kind of address a little bit of the elephant in the room, which is the fact that, I've been gone for a little bit. And a lot of that has to do with the transition from, college life, which obviously if you guys have been keeping up with me on social media and things like that, I recently just graduated. So obviously during May, that was during the time period that we were doing a lot of the move out stuff, like getting all my stuff from Lubbock to back at home, and then, beginning a lot of the stuff with the internship and then post transition. So it's definitely been a busy couple of months, if I'm being honest with you guys, because I said it's been a month and I'm like, yeah, nah, it's actually been about 3. So we haven't done the show in a while, if I'm being honest with you guys. And I do apologize for that, because I know there's some of you that probably really did enjoy listening to the show on a weekly basis, and the fact that I kind of left you guys high and dry without any explanation. Yeah, I own up to it. That, it kind of came off pretty bad, or you guys probably thought something might have happened, but I'll talk a little bit more about that at the end of the show. But today's episode, we're actually going to talk a little bit about, ironically at the time of this recording, the announcement of the new Apple event that is happening in September. And, for those of you that are aware, we clearly are well aware that the September showcase for Apple is going to be where they reveal the new iPhone 15, probably a new Apple Watch, new iPads, and things like that. But I primarily wanted to have a discussion regarding the concerns surrounding the iPhone 15, because let's be transparent here, there are some very serious concerns that come with this. Because yes, while there are some benefits that will come with this new lineup and this new refresh, there are also some concerns in regards to these refreshes, like what are they really accomplishing, and at the same time, is it justifiable with the spoiler, price increases, because of course there has to be a price increase. But let's talk about it a little bit. Now, I know you guys, because obviously we haven't been around for a while, so a lot of the other news outlets and things like that have been covering the news in the past couple months, which is, yes, that it has been rumored for months now that the iPhone 15, specifically the Pro line, or not just the Pro line, but all the iPhone lines, will be transitioning into USB-C, which a lot of people have been wanting for a long time. It only made sense, especially when you look at Apple's current lineup with, the iPads. When you look at the MacBooks, they're all using USB-C, and they talk about USB-C, but the iPhone was always the big thing that didn't have it, because obviously the Apple Watch, doesn't make a lot of sense, because, it's using a puck. And then same thing with the AirPods, the AirPods should have been USB-C too, same thing with the AirPod Maxes, same thing with all the other devices that they have in the ecosystem right now. But we look at it and we do acknowledge that, it's kind of crappy that it only took this long to finally get the lineup and everything in order. And while we look at it, yeah, there's some caveats with it. And yes, some of this comes in regards to the EU, and with the EU beginning a lot of this legislation and things like that to help push the development or the furtherment of technology by using a unified standard for, ports and things like that, which is fair game. Granted, some might have some reserves given that a government is having to make these decisions, but that's here. We'll have a different conversation for that later. But the point stands that the iPhones going forward will have USB-C. The problem with it is going to start with the difference between the Pro models and the baseline models, because the baseline models, well, yes, they will be using USB-C. They won't be using the full, readout that we were expecting, which based off current speculation and current, rumors that are going around. Keep in mind, these are also rumors, so please take them with a pinch of salt. That, yeah, they will be using USB 2.0 standard. So while yes, we may get USB-C, we're not necessarily getting a full upgrade in comparison to Lightning. And it's really crappy that this is happening to the baseline models, when yes, it is true that the baseline models are the ones that will sell the most because they are the most directed towards the general audience, even though I still question how much of a general audience when you're charging like $800 to the average person or the average consumer for a smartphone, which clearly $800 does not scream average if we're just being honest with you guys. Let's be real here. So I think in many ways it's kind of crappy that this is happening, and that if you want the true read out or data transfer speeds that come with USB-C, then you will have to upgrade to the Pro lines, which this is where, well, yes, some of these changes are interesting. Like prime example, like having a proper USB-C port with high transfer speeds, especially when Apple has been doing this big push for the Pro lines with, higher resolution pictures, ProRes video and things like that, and not being able to transfer a lot of this data and a lot of this, photography, a lot of this video files, and you're not being able to transfer these things at an appropriate speed was kind of stupid, especially with Lightning, because yeah, let's just be honest here. During the period that the Lightning port came out, yeah, it was definitely revolutionary. It was better than the current standard at the time, but clearly times have changed. So it just kind of made no sense that Apple would stick with Lightning when USB-C was clearly the better option going forward. And the fact that now we're getting it, but it's obviously going to come with some limitations. Prime example, like the base model is getting a reduced version of it, and then the Pro model is getting the true proper upgrade with USB-C and faster data transfer speeds and things like that. Is really crappy, if I'm just being honest with you guys. This is just being transparent. But I do also acknowledge that it makes sense. On some levels, I could understand the rationale behind it, and you could just picture it of how they're going to do it at the press conference, and they're going to be like, oh, this opens up a new realm of possibilities for the creative, and, et cetera, all that marketing bullshit, no offense. But I can see where they're coming from. They're going to try to advertise it as a pro feature, yet it still screws over the general population, because it's like, you're going to put USB-C on the phones, but the baseline models get a crappier version and the Pro models get the actual true upgrade. So it's like, It also doesn't help that there's a rumored $200 price increase for the Pro models because of the fact that they're introducing the new, the new camera system that's going to be added into it, the new processor, the USB-C port and everything. And it's just like, oof. Like, it's part of those things where, like, I knew going into it that with the EU forcing Apple to do all this stuff, that they were gonna do it some way, somehow to people over. And obviously this is gonna come at the cost of, and here's the funny thing with this USB-C port that we're gonna talk about too, is the fact that of course there's proprietary cables with it. Because of course Apple is going to find a way to milk you guys and keep you locked into an ecosystem where you're only buying stuff from them or only supported partners, and you're not really buying whatever you truly want. And it's like, bruh. Like, they're always going to find a way to do this, guys. Because let's be real, USB-C cables, I think a lot of us have a bunch of USB-C cables lying around from different companies like Anker, JSOX. Like, you're having all these different cables, like 100-watt cables, 60-watt cables, like 140-watt, 200-watt cable. Like, we have all of these USB-C cables lying around. So the fact that Apple is going to try and limit it in the sense that it's going to have proprietary hardware And they're probably going to do it in the software too to screw you over, because they used to do this back in the past as well with lightning cables. It's like you take one step forward and you take like 5 backwards, and it's just like, bruh. Sometimes I question this company, guys. I'm gonna be real with you. Some days I really question what is going through the mindset, but I get it. They're a business at the end of the day. They're trying to keep their revenue high, their profits high, because again, this is a multi-trillion-dollar company. So it's like, they got to keep the money flowing somehow, but it's sort of not cool. And then the same thing with the $200 price increase. Like, this is where it's like, why? Like, I'm interested to see what the rationale is, especially with changing the aluminum frame to a titanium frame. Like, are they going to try to justify with the more premium materials that this is how they're justifying a $200 price increase, which is like, especially when you're looking at what price the Pro Max starts at, like $1,100, and you're bumping it up to like $1,300 to $1,400, bro. Like, that's rough, like that's rough. But I'm interested to see how they go. Now, granted, let's be real with this event. Yeah, I'm interested to see some of the Apple Watch revisions. I don't really think, personally, from my opinion, we should see a revision for the Ultra anytime soon, because again, the Apple Watch Ultra came out last year, and I personally use the Ultra. I love this thing to death. I've beaten it to absolute hell and back. I don't see a point in updating the Ultra this year, but I wouldn't be surprised if they just want to do it, because there always is an Apple Watch revision every year, so they might do it that way. Same thing with the iPad. Like, I think the baseline iPad is going to get its revision. I think the Pro might get a revision, even though it doesn't make a lot of sense, but they might do it. iPad Air is probably due for a revision. Same thing with the Mini. I think both of those lines are due for a revision nowadays, especially upgrading to the M1 processor or even the M series chips in general. That it only makes sense that the Mini and the Air would get that bump. Even though the Air already has the M1 chip, I think maybe bumping it up to the M2. And same thing for the Mini. Like, the Mini is the only one that was always stuck on the A series chip, so bumping them up to the M series would be nice as well. But I think personally, outside of that, there's not really a lot of things that get me excited for this Apple event. It's just like, okay, let's see how they try to justify the USB-C transition. Like, what are going to be the limitations with it and things like that. Like, how is this going to be going forward? Like, same thing, like, are we going to see any revisions to the baseline, like getting a higher than 60 hertz display? Because some people are like, the general population can't see higher than 60 hertz. And I'm like, okay, guys, I understand that. We can, if we go by that logic, that's fair, but you also still can't justify the fact that a $800 smartphone is using bare minimum display technology that is not even remotely competitive with the current landscape of technology, or in this place, or in this case, the smartphone market. Because let's be real, I have an iPhone 14 Plus, I have a Z Fold 5, and yes, while I do love my 14 Plus is my daily driver. It is my primary phone, line of communication, primary SIM card, and everything in it. I still do wish that they would have done that and just made it a 90 hertz display. I think that would have been beneficial, especially for like a device this expensive. Like, come on, guys. I think you guys can reasonably bump it up just a little bit more, But I think outside of that, I think it's just more of I think this event will serve as okay, how do they justify a lot of the decisions that they're making? Because I feel like they're definitely going to get a lot of flack for it. But we also do have to acknowledge Apple's core fan base and who they are. Like, yeah, they kind of will just buy anything with Apple on it and call it a day. But it is what it is, guys. But I don't really have any much more to say about that. If anything, I kind of want to take a little bit of time to just, I'd say, break down like what's been going on the past couple months. Because yeah, let's be real here for a minute. Like, or it's kind of weird to say that, like, let's be real for a minute, even though I feel like that's how I always am with y'all. Yeah, the past couple months have been very wild, if I'm being honest with you. Like, going through my internship this summer, getting my full-time job offer, beginning the transition into post-college life, into joining the workforce and beginning my career. The fact that, well, I have a girlfriend now, like, and especially because you guys have followed me for the past couple of years, like, yeah, like, for me, it's a very big deal because I haven't had a life partner in almost 4 years. So the fact that, like, there's someone new in my life now, and this person genuinely loves me, cares about me, genuinely wants what's best for me, and then at the same time, like, we're able to build a future together is very different. And I will talk about that in a future real talk, just having those conversations and just seeing the stark differences in relationship dynamics, and just seeing how this relationship in the span of a couple weeks or maybe a month now has already proven to be more fruitful than a relationship that lasted over a year and a half, and it's very weird, but again, we'll talk about that in a future episode. But it's been very wild, guys. I wouldn't say unpredictable, but it's definitely been a process that I've had to take some time to really talk with people about, really reflect on it personally, like do a lot of what I like to do every morning is go for a walk and just pray and clear my head and just, really just wrestle with these things. If I'm being honest with you, like having that time to just not think about anything else, obviously do my internship, go to work, do this stuff, go to the gym, et cetera, et cetera. But like just having that time where I can just breathe and just really think about it, because this is something new. This is something very different. And it's kind of crazy, if I'm being honest with you. But I'm excited. I'm excited to share this journey with you guys, like, so you guys can see a lot of the stuff, because like things are gonna be a lot different. I'm no longer gonna be in a college dorm room, so I have my own apartment now, so we'll be able to set it up the way I want to with a studio space and stuff like that. So that's gonna be really fun. Like, obviously we have my camera, the photography stuff is back up and running, so now we can properly do a lot of this stuff again. And it's exciting, y'all. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's very, very exciting. And I can't wait to share a lot of this stuff with you and just, continue to push towards 400,000 or 400,000. Man, if I hit that by the end of the year, that'd be insane. But like at least 4,000 total downloads, But I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. I hope that, I hope you guys enjoy hearing me again, because you guys probably thought I was dead or something, or we just canceled the show completely. But no, we're back. We're up and running again, and time to hit the running. But I hope you guys have yourselves a wonderful day and a wonderful week. And don't do anything dumb, y'all. Please be safe out there. Please continue to be kind and respectful to those around you, because the world is still, it's a weird place. And the best thing we can do is just be kind and respectful to those around us, because that's how we should be towards everyone, no matter what. But I love you guys to death. Please be safe, y'all. And I will see you guys next week. Bye, guys. Hey there. Thank you for listening to today's episode. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day and listening to today's episode. If you're interested in supporting the show, whether it be financially, clicking the follow button, or just sharing the episode, it all works for me, guys. Thank you guys so much for your time, and I love you guys to death.